Hello, everyone. Welcome to our weekly world session, our nice energy healing session for September 3rd, 2024. So, one of the big influences over the last couple of days, obviously, is changing months. Going into September for the Northern Hemisphere is going to be that harvest season. So, usually, September and spring, depending on where you are, it doesn't matter, is usually the time that we do a cleanse. I don't know about you guys, but I really felt like doing a cleanse. So I already started. It just came upon me. I'm like, ready, let's do it. Let's clean up. And so we'll do that today for ourselves. But someone also brought up the gut brain. So digestion, gut brain. As you know, the gut brain is the second brain of the body, the entire plexus. So our stressors, especially what we eat, and our lifestyle. So we've got several things. You've got electronics that can influence the gut brain in a difficult way. I want to see how that's going to go. We've got electronics. We've got um, right, all the screens, the blue light, the the way it's going to affect the head brain and its corresponding experience in the gut brain. That's one. Two, EMF and waves as a pollutant in the system, lack of oxygenation to the lungs. So I brought this up many times, is nitric oxide breathing. So to really get the lungs, if you've got asthma or any difficulties in the lungs, especially when you catch a cold, you get mucus, good idea is to do nitric oxide breathing, which is inhaling, holding, inhaling, making a wee noise. You could do it longer if you like, but that's a good way to do it. Really helps the lungs, especially as the weather is getting a little bit cooler here in some of the areas that it's really hot. I found doing that breathing, over the summer and the humidity, it was difficult. And then as soon as I started doing that breathing while it cooled down, I could really take some big breaths. So that's interesting too, the quality of the air. Also, we've got pesticides and pesticides and sorry, you're going to hear somebody talking. It's kind of noisy and it's just disturbing my brain. So, pesticides, and I think we'll go into the NRF2 pathway as well. Yeah, let's do that. So NRF2 pathway is the genetics that cleanse out, all the genes so that we can better have our epigenetics working. So the expression, genetic expression is, we want the appropriate genetic expression. We don't want the genes that are, maladaptive or disease oriented to express. So by doing the NRF2 pathway in the last, maybe days where we can go barefoot in the dirt, it might be a really good time. So we get that antioxidative uh, stress leaving the body, or the oxidative stress leaving the body, excuse me. And I'm tuning into, I take a lot of antioxidants. I just decided to do an antioxidant detox. And part of that is, taking those things that protect the cells and those things that cleanse the cells, especially in the brain, and the head brain being able to improve the pathways to, let's say, memory, or improve the pathways to immune function, improve the pathways to good habits, right? Especially, for those people who've gone through ill health or difficulty, or you have very bad habits. Bad habits can be traumatizing situations, relying on pathological worry or fear to deal with things. there's another one I can feel coming up. Getting sort of the habits in you know what, you can all try this out if you like. There's a site called Know Yourself. It's Jordan Peterson's study, a test for the big four, big five, big four uh, personality attributes. So it's kind of interesting. What's coming up is one of those attributes, which is there's conscientiousness, there's um, um, industriousness. It's industriousness that's actually coming up. I can't remember all the other qualities, but it measures those things for you. Uh, and just helps you kind of see what you're all about. But I think that if we're unable to be industrious, what might occur is depression. What might occur is we create a bad habit, and then we think we're incompetent rather than having the ability to. At least I'm not doing the interpretation that is on the site. You can look at that, but right now it's coming up as uh, what are the things that I can do that would help improve my life? Like what would be something like when I think of busy bees, right? So they're doing all their little things that are good habits that the brain would have well established. And I think that if we put that industriousness, that capacity, now not everyone's going to be industrious, and it doesn't mean you have to force yourself to do that. But it is an aspect that we require to make ourselves feel better, right? We can feel better about things when we have the capacity to have industry, right? So that also is going to be, I'm thinking of the gut brain and the digestive system as an industry itself, right? So you got stuff going in, and the food, churns up into chyme in your belly, then it goes through your jejunum and right through the small intestine. We filter up poison with the good stuff. The good stuff should go in the body. The poison should leave the body. Of course, there are some poisons that end up impacting our bodies and going into the cell and into the, it can get stored in fat too, especially um, those people who have insulin resistance, which I don't care what weight you're at, you can have insulin resistance. So usually it's fat people who have insulin resistance, but I know a lot of very thin people who also have insulin resistance, if not full on, type 2 diabetes. So that's all because of um, hyper processed food, highly processed food. That's because of microplastics in our foods, our pesticides, and the more we improve the food quality that we take in, and balance that out, like vegetables and proteins, and they're coming from a good source, you're going to be able to improve the gut brain. Then we have, like I said before, hyper worry. So they're environmental concerns as well. Like I live in a neighborhood where the houses are very close together, and that has an impact because my house is clear of mold, but yesterday I could smell mold when the window is open, so I have to close the window because my neighbor's got a lot of mold. He constructed his building in a strange way that would cause mold, and you can actually smell it. So it depends where you are. So that environmentally is going to uh, hurt my lungs, hurt my body. So you're going to do the best you can. I mean, I try to make suggestions to him, but he doesn't listen. So we have to live through these things in any case. But you want to get the environment to be as clear as possible. Now that could be your own environment. I have a few spots in my house I need to pull out everything and clear them up. You got to do this about every 4 months, clean out everything in the house. And I notice right away a heaviness in me the moment those things aren't cleared up, every 4 months or something. I mean, it's constant, the clearing we need to do. So it's thinking about environment. Then when you go from environment to what's my liver doing? So one of the ways we know that um, whether a liver functions well is how organized a person is. The more disorganized their home is, the more disorganized everything is, the more we know the liver is not functioning so well. Now, don't use this as a diagnostic tool, but it is a good way to, especially for us for practitioners, we can watch, like if I see someone who comes to my office late all the time, I know there's something going on either in the brain or in a different organ, or something's going on in their body mind if they're always late. Someone's late once, twice, that's not a big deal. But when somebody is consistently late, can't be on time, their organizational skills are not working. And if those organizational skills aren't working, well, we know a lot of people will say to me, oh, so and so was late, they're so disrespectful, and they're late all the time for me, they're so disrespectful. Like, okay, you could say that, that's your interpretation, but more than likely they're having trouble with their liver because they're unable to organize. Now, well, the body is a holistic organ. We work holistically, so it wouldn't just be the liver. It can be the three brains in connection with the liver. It can be also the habit patterns. There's also genetics. There's also what we inherited. There's also, like I said, the habits in the brain. And then there's also every single organ, endocrine in the body has a consciousness. Every cell has a consciousness. And sometimes we think that our brains control things. And if you sit around and go, if you sit around and just feel into your body and go, you know what, there could be a part of my body that's controlling me. For example, if you have parasites, those parasites can be making you do something. If your liver is damaged, you could get angry. You could get angry often. And a lot of people think, oh, that person is an angry person. Okay, they're demonstrating anger, but it could be their liver. So right now, what I'd like you to do for this part of the session is feel into what aspect of you that you don't like is kind of dominating you, and allow that to go to maybe an organ, it'll go to a cell, and we'll just allow your brain to deal with that organ. That means I'm just going to allow your brain to bring in circulation, fragment the area, help repair the consciousness of that area as we detox. And then we want to bring it right down to the cell. So the cell itself is able to replicate. Now, as I'm doing that, I'm just going, okay, this is a little bit too much. So let's just slow down. Okay, so I can feel the gut brain really getting as though I have a massive boulder in the belly. So we want to fragment that. That can be a combination of everything I've said, from worry to the brain's habits, to the gut brain's habits, to even not being able to access your intuition, or overriding your intuition with the brain. And also, I think we really need to bring in the heart, because the brain tends to override things. The gut brain then does whatever it does, and we don't seem to necessarily hear what the heart has to say. Is it here? I don't know if I like that word. Let me just fix that. It's not exactly here. It's not feel either, because love is not a feeling. Yes, we talk about it as a feeling, and I feel love for you. That's something different. Love is all of the energy. So if we can get all of the energy to help expand the heart center and allow that heart to really, just like the lungs breathe in oxygen, allow the heart to really breathe in the energy called love. Energy called love, not a feeling. Energy called love, or or just what animates the entire universe. I mean, without love, I don't know, what is there? Yeah, what is there without love? I mean, it's just kind of a bunch of robots walking around, or um, what would counteract evil? We know there's evil out there. We know they're evil people. We know they're evil actions. We know all of that. So love is the only thing that's going to conquer that. That's going to even just counterbalance it. We've always have conflict here, and part of the conflict would be uh, good against evil. But I'm looking at right now, it's coming up as love against whatever's evil. That's going to include love being able to temper whatever is evil within you, because we all have a component of something evil or bad within us. And we know that we, if you don't know that you have something bad within you, you haven't looked hard enough. Yeah, you really haven't looked to see that there's that possibility. Most people do. Uh, Demonstrated in a very easy way. Um, my favorite one is, a mom who comes in who's got all, their kids, and they say, I'm a really good person. I'm a wonderful, kind, loving person. I take care of my children. I do everything for my children, for my husband. I am such a good person. And what I am demonstrating right now, I've seen many times happen right in front of me in my practice. And then they'll turn around, but they're lazy, good for nothing, unappreciative little brats half the time. And you're like, whoa. Now I'm amalgamating and being a bit of hyperbolic on that, but there's oftentimes a lot of sort of spit that comes out of the person's mouth, or they will say, why don't they appreciate me? Why don't they care about me? Why don't they do something for me? And you could feel that anger. That is the part of us that says, I'm not doing this because I want to do it. I do it for a person to get something back. Now that's contractual. That's if I'm going to do that with my mother or my friends, or and you want to get something back, you're binding me in a devil's contract. So if you say, oh, sweetheart, would you like me to take you to the store today? I'll help you out. Sure, thanks so much. But now you've done that for me, and you're expecting something in return without telling me, beforehand. I've just come into a contract. I've just made the bargain with the devil. So you might find that in yourself. So this is really important to help with the discernment. We've got discernment in the small intestine, but discernment in the heart. So it doesn't mean we can't think bad things. That's going to happen. It's whether we act on them. Right. So I know I can be talking to someone and go, oh my God, they're so boring. But I'm not going to tell them. It's not, it's like, why would I bother doing that unless they ask me, could you give me a criticism on my speech? I might go, well, it's a little on the dull side. But I'm not going to sit around with someone, that I find boring and tell them that they're boring. I appreciate them for other things, or it's just a temporary circumstance. I don't need to give someone my opinion because someone else might not find them boring, you know? So, not my business to point that out. Um, I know a lot of people who've been in my position where you're in practice, and in practice, a lot of people say that their client is talking and they just want to pull their own hair out because they're repeating the same thing. That can occur, right? But we don't do it. We don't pull our hair out. We sit back and go, no, I'm here to support this person through their process. I'm not here to put them on a better journey according to my standards, right? So we remain in a place of being there as an anchor. So lots of ways to know there are not such nice things that come up in us, but we don't act on them. And that is truly important. That's when we know, oh, yes, that's a good thing. It doesn't make us a good or bad person. If you decide you're a bad person, most people I know who think they're a bad person are usually just really hard on themselves. People who are a good person haven't recognized that they have a duality. And then the evil people, I don't know what they think, but they definitely think they're quite self-righteous about what goes on. So I don't think they're aware of good or bad. They just think everything's about them. All right. So um, I can't believe all of that came up, but it really feels like that's so important to help us really get in touch with the heart, because we often get in touch with the false heart. And when we get in touch with the false heart, we will say things like, I am a good person or I'm a bad person. Neither of those things are true. What is true is just I am. Okay. So let's just tap all this through and let's see how the belly's doing. So the crater or this boulder seems to have dissipated, but I feel like there are a lot of toxins trying to make their way through. So remember to drink a little bit more water today and maybe tomorrow so that it detoxes. And also the ability for hydration to go into the cells, because one of the things that keeps showing up is that we're going to be doing a little bit more on epigenetics, but again, it's not quite at the surface. All right, my loves, have a great week. Hope you enjoyed that. Hope that wasn't too much, but if you really feel into it, I think you'll be able to super cleanse. Like right now, I feel a super energy coming out of my heart. I feel like it's so expansive, but I feel like my belly, I haven't eaten since yesterday. So, I mean, it's I don't know, 16, 18 hours. And I feel like I just ate a massive amount of food. And, to me, that's the movement of all of the toxins, including these microplastics in the gut brain. We did a lot of that work last week. So if you didn't get that work, please go back and listen to that as well, maybe in a day or two. All right. Have a great week and see you next week. Bye.